Okay, it's time for the Color 1 exercise. I'm actually asking you to do this exercise right away. It's due on Monday. Even before you have gone through the color presentation. That means you're going to be typing in some strange looking codes you may not completely understand yet, but you should have done the reading by now or do it extremely soon. It's important to get this file made so we can use it in other ways, and I think just by looking at it and typing the codes, you'll start to gather some insight, and it'll make actually learning this stuff come a little easier later on. So what are you going to do? Well, you're going to make your folder structure, and it's explained here. You're going to go to Moodle and download a file called Bistro and rename it. Now you're actually, in opening it in Notepad++, you're actually going to go to page 283 of your text and follow these instructions for this assignment. And that's the whole thing. The only additional instructions I have is I want you to add a comment in the CSS style section. This is going to be an embedded style sheet, not an external one. You've done an external one for your resume. External ones make sense for lots of real work, but it's handier when working on one exercise file to do as an embedded style sheet. Now, there's a couple tricky things to watch out for. First of all, don't forget to consider condensing hex codes when appropriate. You should read about that. If it doesn't make sense yet, don't worry, you'll have a presentation on it soon. More importantly, though, she uses RGBA color. Now, you should have read about RGBA color, and you probably have to go back and review that section. And I'll show you where she uses it. But this is the easiest thing to screw up or to forget or not get quite right in the assignment. More notes here. I do suggest you look through this code. There's some useful, interesting things in this code. I think you can learn some things just by looking at other people's code, so please do that. Don't worry, the links, the navigation links don't really work. The other two links do. Keep this file handy. I mean the Color 1. We're going to reuse Color 1 a number of different ways very soon, and then later too. Okay, let's look at this in Notepad++. Your Color 1 file, when you first open it, looks like this. It's just a white background, some basic links, more links, and regular HTML. I said you should look over these files to see you might learn some things from the way they're built. Yes, but one thing I don't want you to learn from this is the fact that she uses a serif font throughout. Maybe on a menu, which is a small amount of text, pretty highly formatted, maybe it's okay to use serif, but don't do this in your resume. Also, you'll see I would criticize her font stack as being very small. She just uses Georgia and then serif. Even in her text, the font stack she gives for a serif font would be much longer. So please don't do that. But the rest of it is interesting to learn from. And here's something interesting too. What the heck is this thing here? It says style sheet, but it's this link to this Google thing. Well, this is a web font. You can read about web fonts. You've heard of web fonts. I've mentioned them. What is a web font? Well, it's a way to use a font supplied by someone else online, and it's usually Google. And it's sometimes you have to pay, sometimes it's free. This one's free. Google has a whole bunch of free web fonts you can use, and you can pay for certain other distinctive ones. And essentially, instead of going to looking for the font on the user's computer, it looks for the font at Google, and then it applies that to the web page. So it's a good way to use unusual fonts and be sure you're going to get them, because maybe you've paid for them or else they're on Google. Yet there should still be some kind of a stack, because what happens if that font is not available on Google, Google changes its system or something, you want to make sure you get something similar to it that you want. But you'll also notice that that font is not used anywhere here. We see Georgia again, right? That font's not used anywhere here. How would you use this font? Well, it's calling for a font called Marco 1. Okay? And I'm going to go to the completed version of this file, which has got a lot more CSS in it, the CSS that you will be writing. including background color RGBA. I warned you about that in the header area. That's where it's going to appear. Okay, but what is this markup 1? It actually would be for the H1. Now, you don't have to do this. If you want to, you can, though. Right in here, instead of Georgia, you'd add markup 1. But how would you add it? Remember, it's a 2-word font name, but it's true font name, so it gets capitalized. Okay, because 2 words goes in quotation marks, right? And you say, well, markup 1, how's that going to work? Well, because you've named it in this essentially as a script, which goes out and gets it from the Google web font website. Now you can use it. I'm going to save this and run it. So how is that font different? Take a look. Well, sure, there's other stuff that's different too, like color and so on. But you see, this is just a regular serif font here. And this is an unusual looking serif font. I'll make it even bigger. I'll show you the difference again. Here it is as this unusual serif font, sort of serify, sort of not, called markup 1. And let's go back here. I'm going to Control Z out. See, it's changing down here. It's just George now, right? Good. I'm going to save it and run again. And here it is without the web font. So there's the difference. So I thought you might find that interesting. And otherwise, whether you use the web font or not, let's just look at this page. This is what this page should look like for you. That RGBA creates a partly opaque white background over this header area. You've got styling now on your links. See how they change when I hover over them? That's part of the assignment. You've got color on the headers. You've got a background color. And also you have we've got a styling on the hover of the link. But look at the difference between this link and this one. But yet when we hover over them, they're the same. This is visited. The visited links tend to be a little bit duller and not quite so attention grabbing. In other words, this means I've already been here. I click on it, I've gone there. It's taking quite a while, but you can believe me when I say, oh, they went there, okay, good. But now that means that link is shown on my site as being visited. I've not gone to this one yet, so it's still shown as a little bit brighter. Yet, I still think that those links don't grab my attention that much. And this is pretty darn similar to regular body text, which is an issue, I think. But interesting for you to do, so get going on that page.